Ford better than a Ram? Now we're going to find out in today's video, comparing this F-150 Tremor to this Ram Rebel X. I'll include a link to the Ford here in Provo and the Ram here in Provo for giving me some time with both of the trucks. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Parking the Ram is a twin-turbo 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 17 around town, 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 420 horsepower and then 469 pound-feet of torque. Powering the Ford is a 5-liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town, 20 on the highway, with power outputs being 400 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. Trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Venting on the hood of the Rebel here, and the Ford has some little vents too. You've got a blacked out steel bumper and you've got this blacked out grille as well as recovery points. Ford goes for more of a metallic gray finish and then some gold trim in the grille there, but recovery points, steel bumper, all of that. Both the Ram and the Ford have underbody protection. So far they look a little bit more aggressive compared to their regular counterparts. The Ram's tire and wheel setup is 275 by 70 by 18. The Ford's is 275 by 70 by 18. Now I will say, although the all-terrain tires in the Ford are solid, I do prefer the Ram's Goodyear Wranglers. The Ford has side steps, whereas the Ram does not. Ford uses twin tube shocks and leaf springs, whereas Ram uses coil springs and Bilstein shocks. Here's a side profile of the Ram with those chunky fender flares. Nice stance overall. And you do get a giant Rebel X decal on the side. And then here's the Ford, no fender flares, but still a pretty aggressive stance. And then we've got the Tremor decal on the side of the Ford. The Ford has LED lights, it also has an outlet, and we've got protection from the factory. The tailgate itself is also power up on the Ford. And this one has the cool barn door tailgate. The Ram has LED lights, power outlet, cargo tie-down points on sliders and bed liner. And the tailgate with the Ram, you just nudge it a little bit, is also power up. Now the Ford also gets this upgraded rear bumper. The Ram also gets an upgraded rear bumper. Let me know if you like the look of the Ram more or the Ford so far. The Ford comes with more gold trim as stitching on the door panel. Tremor here on the seats with more gold accenting in the center perforations. Plenty of legroom here in the back. I also have heated seats, vents, cup holders, and some charging ports, as well as some nice under-seat storage. Now the Ram has fancy stitching throughout the door panel, nice trim as well, kind of more upscale looking. And the seats do have a little bit of red stitching that perforated down the center as well. Great legroom here in the back, got a little storage pocket with some holders there. We also have vents, USB ports, an outlet, and heated seats. Oh, and speaking of seats, they also have a recline function. And then not only do we get the ice buckets here in the back, we also have under-seat storage in the Ram. The front door panel of the Ford has more of that gold stitching. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. We've got memory seats. We also have automatic window controls and the mirrors power fold in. 1,383 pounds payload capacity. And then more gold trim here on the front seat, nice piping. Power adjustments on the side with lumbar support. Can turn off the auto stop start function. You also have your light controls and then power adjustable pedals. The Ram continues the theme of having fancy trim all over the door panel. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Again, we've got memory seats, automatic for the front two windows, mirrors power fold in. 1377 for the payload capacity. Nice X logo there on the seat, but yeah, really nice trim. Power adjustments on the side, lumbar support too. Automatic lights. We also have power adjustable pedals. You got the function to turn on the cargo outlet too. Start up the Ford. More of that gold stitching the center of the steering wheel, soft touch trim all around. Practical controls for the center on the right hand side, cruise control, volume voice command controls on the left. We also have a full digital gauge cluster that has a bunch of different drive modes for both on-road and off-road use, and depending on what drive mode you pop it in will determine how the cluster looks. The Ford's got a 360 camera system here. Big infotainment system with a shortcut bar here on the side. We also have this auxiliary tab to display different items. Pro trailer backup, trailer brake controls here down below. Rear locking differential, drive mode select. We have a part-time four-wheel drive system, but it does have four-wheel drive auto as well as low. Dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. Wireless phone charging pad, we got some cup holders, the fold down shifter because this has the workbench center console. Speaking of that center console, tons of storage space, and there's more on the glove box, and man, that is nice trim. Power sliding rear window, we've got 6 auxiliary switches, and then a panoramic sunroof. And let's start up the Ram. Really nice trim around the steering wheel with the paddle shifters there on the back. Practical controls like our adaptive cruise control on the right hand side, controls for the center stack on the left hand side, and radio controls on the back. Just like the Ford, we have a full digital gauge cluster, and it'll also display the different drive modes. We have a heads-up display, really nice trim all across the dash with the Ram. 360 camera system as well. Now the Ford's is horizontal, the Ram's infotainment system, as you can see, is vertical, so it's got analog controls on either side. A little shortcut bar here at the bottom. We have our drive mode select in this area. We also have a part-time four-wheel drive system, again, four-wheel auto, just like the Ford. Auto stop start, you can turn that off on the Ram, just like the Ford. Off-road cruise control, and you have a rear locking differential. Tons of USB ports. We also have 2 wireless phone charging pads in the Ram. Got the shifter here in the center, cool Rebel X on the center console, and this does have tons of storage, similar to the Ford. We do have a passenger screen instead of a top glove box, but we have a camera rear view mirror and then a panoramic sunroof as well as a rear sliding window. So the Ram stickers for a bit over 78K, the Ford stickers for almost 81K. See how they perform. Ford first, Ram second. Now I think there's a lot of interesting comparisons at this price point because, well, you know, entry-level Raptor or an entry-level RHO, I shouldn't say entry-level, because they're not really entry-level anymore. Like, an RHO at this price point and a Raptor at this price point has quite a bit of luxury. But anyways, you could get ahead of those at this price point, which is interesting. It makes the Tremor and the Rebel look interesting to me from an outside perspective because it's like, man, do you want more off-road capability or do you want more truck capability? Because both of these provide a bit more payload and more towing capacity than the Ram RHO and the Ford Raptor. And then obviously they still provide quite a bit of off-road capability, more than most people need, frankly. So seats are comfortable in the Ford. I think the Ford might probably end up winning there. Ford usually does with seats because they just do a better job with the overall ergonomics and everything. Now the 5.0 V8 doesn't have the torque of the EcoBoost that you can also get in the Tremor, but it sounds good and it's smooth. And you got to ask yourself, are you going to be going pedal to the metal full throttle all the time in your pickup truck? Or are you going to be just kind of lightly getting into it every so often and then, or most of the time, and then every so often you're doing this? Where you really get to hear that V8. And that's a beautiful sound. No turbocharged 6-cylinder will ever be able to beat that sound. It is just as good as it gets. Now the Ford also rides amazingly well for being a leaf sprung truck. Ford has done such a good job with leaf springs. I think better than any other manufacturer in terms of keeping a truck that's planted. And I think a big part of that is the original 2 generations of Raptor. Gen 1 and Gen 2 both had leaf springs. And so I think Ford really figured out how to make leaf springs comfortable and stay planted because they had to for those trucks, because they're Raptors. Yeah, this handles really well, and again, the torque. Oh, it's good. It's such a fun sound. It's such a fun sound. But yeah, the 5.0 Tremor sounds fantastic. It drives really well. I think the shock dampening's great, and it looks cool. And it's got tons of off-road capability. Again, more than what most people will ever need. You have a rear locking differential. You've got a 2-speed transfer case, 33-inch all-terrain tires. This truck can go places. So let's pop into the Rebel. Well, Ram Rebel. See if this can compete against the Ford. I think it's funny because I remember doing one of these comparisons like a couple of years ago, and the Ford had the turbo engine and the Ram had the V8. And oh, how the tables have turned. Now the Ram's got a little 6-cylinder and Ford's got a V8. If you're wondering why this has happened, Ford started doing those turbo engines like a decade ago, and they've been selling quite a few electric cars, Mach-E, a few Lightnings here and there. So it's allowed Ford to continue to make V8s because how it works is you've got a carbon credit system with new cars, and so Ford was able to, with the sale of their electric vehicles, meet their carbon credit requirements, whereas Stellantis not so much, because they weren't really selling any electric vehicles, and so they've had to tone down the V8s, whereas Ford's been able to keep them going. So see the power. Now this definitely, just like, you know, Ford's EcoBoost you can get in the Tremor, this definitely has quite a bit more torque. You can feel that. It's very smooth. It's one nice thing about inline sixes is they're smooth. bit smoother than a V6. Yeah, it's so weird to drive a Ram and not have like a rumbling beat. I will say this is still annoying to me. Ram's fit and finish on their new trucks is just not all that great. It's good in most places, but there's certain parts where it just, you know, kind of feels cheaply done. Man, that is powerful and that is smooth. It's impressive. So, conclusion. I do think the Ram's a little bit more comfortable. Again, it's coil sprung in the rear versus leaf sprung like with the Ford. So it does drive a little bit smoother, like over the bumps and everything. Yeah, it kind of handles all of them a little bit better. Woo! Yeah, it definitely lucks with the ride. It's quite a bit more lux. I like it. So, let me know your thoughts on the Rebel, but I think that Ford still offering a V8 gives them a big win in this segment, and I think that Ram needs just little build quality things. I noticed that in RHO too. We need to kind of work on that a bit with the Rams.